Five, four, three, two, one. Welcome once again to Lightbearer Podcast with your hosts, Mr. K. Ola and Giovanni Montoya, the Jungly Man. Hey,
Yeah,
Kay, I see you. Did you change your name on there?
no, it's what's he got there? My full name. What's
Did
it?
you got to say it because I can't even read it, man.
Hi,
Olukayode Ola
brother.
Meji.
Yeah, that's the full name there.
Yeah, but just say it because I just said it like a retard.
Kayode Oladimeji.
That sounds cool, man. I'm gonna have to practice that. Oh, dude, my brother. Oh man, so it's been about a month. Sorry, guys.
Yep.
Uh, as my work on the farm takes a lot of the time in my life. Plus, uh, I'm also part of farming apprenticeship, but the podcast won't end. We are trying our best to get some guests on, but if not, we always have something. It's all about the conversation. So how's it been going, Kay?
It's been going pretty good, brother. Like you said, it's been like a month. We haven't done anything. I remember one of my friends was asking me, "Hey, what's going on with the podcast?" I think he watches it. One of my neighbors,
Mm.
and I feel like, yeah, we need to get this thing back and running again. Because
Well,
it's hearing and people hearing different points of views, and we're not always the same. Today I might be of
mm,
a certain view, and then a month down the line, I might have a
mm.
change of heart, and then people need to see the evolution.
Yes, 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 yes. Hey, man, I'm digging the clothes, man. Tell us a little bit about the clothes. Where is that traditional clothes like where you're from, and what does it represent anything, or is just kicking it clothes?
Yeah, it's just like a stylish thing, with the Nigerians. They get what they do. They get materials. Like, so you
Mm,
go to the market and you buy like a big material. I'm not sure if they do it where you're from as well. Then you go to a
mm.
tailor, he measures you up, you tell him the style you want, he does all the dimensions, then he gets the material and he does it like a bespoke.
Okay.
Oh,
Well, back in the days when I was in Colombia, when I was in school, you
mm,
do the same thing. What you do is you go to a place and they have the rolls of cloth,
that's it.
whatever material that you need, and so then you request like a certain amount of meters or
Or two.
whatever it was required to. Yeah, and it usually uh, for the school uniforms, either my grandmother or we would hire a seamstress,
Yeah.
to go ahead and they take the measurements from you to make sure that you have the proper length of arms and legs, and they usually would already have a pattern, so you can get the patterns which is on a piece of kind of like tracing paper and stuff like that, so they know exactly what they're making.
Yes.
uh but I mean, the real good ones, they already know. They don't even need the pattern because they already knew, like, okay, it's that time of year where the kids get their uniform. and
Yes.
uh and they used a sewing machine, a Singer, right,
Hmm.
with that didn't require any electricity. It was on foot pedal.
My grandmom had
Yeah,
uh,
yeah, those were great, and it was like
pins.
a huge pedal. Yeah, yeah, and she would get started. She would started off. The belt was like a leather belt, right? and
Yes.
and and they all came really nice. It's not like now that you carry it. It was like a big thing, like made out of wood,
Yes.
and the sewing machine would store inside of that shelf or whatever, upside down, right? It would go upside down and inside of the case, and
Yes.
then she would sit there and she'd pull the little wheel like that, and then it will get started, kind of like the old Ford cars that you would have to rev them a little bit with the key. She'd do that, and then
And when she's not there, us kids will go and try and do it, and then we'll get in trouble.
yeah, yeah. Well, I knew better, man. I did not touch her sewing machine because that, oof, yeah, okay, we would get in trouble.
Trouble, yeah.
Yeah, you get lit up. That's what it is.
Yep, yep.
My grandmother never really lit me up or anything like that.
Really?
But I didn't, because I just knew, and neither did my grandfather. But I remember one time he did hit me once, just once, with a belt, not very hard, and it was because, okay, in Colombia back in the days, we had to get three kinds of pens: a red pen, a blue pen, and a black pen. And
Hmm.
in those days, like each subject, you had to use a different notebook, not like a ring notebook with like, okay, this area is for math. No, each subject had
Yes.
to be a notebook. And I'm going to show you what they look like. Hold on for a second.
Hmm.
They look something like this.
Come on, that's like the old school ones we used to use in Nigeria with a
Yeah,
softer
yeah, I still buy these, mate.
soft cover and you
Because
write from the edges, the white edges on the side.
yeah. And well, these things, they still sell them in the States. They're called composition books. But in
Do you
Colombia, they have the same ones.
remember the
What? Say
math?
that again?
Remember the math books with the grids,
Yes.
the
They're different.
the squares.
Yes. And they don't do that in Japan. I tell them, hey, well, even in the United States either, they use the regular, like these horizontal lines. But in Colombia, we have to the math notebook had the grid pattern
Yes,
in order for you to keep your problems straight, so you wouldn't deviate like that and end up bollocksing up the mathematical problem.
yes.
They
Or
but
shapes,
anyway,
like shapes with them with the compass. You could do this.
yeah. But anyway, so each we also had in Colombia, a
Mhm.
part of one of the subjects was religion.
Okay.
So we had to study the Bible because it's a Catholic country, man. I don't know
Oh,
about right now, but back in the days, we had
Catholic.
religion. Yeah, we had religion. Huh?
I didn't know that Colombia was a Catholic country.
Yeah, it's mostly Catholic. And so we had to like learn that, like the Ten Commandments and all that stuff. And I never knew them, dude. I just knew the important ones. Don't lie, don't steal, don't kill. The rest of them, it's like, let's break them all.
Books are made to be broken.
Right. But anyway, going back to the notebook. So I am going back to my grandfather. We
Yes.
had to use three kinds
Pens.
of pens, and the red one was for the math notebook.
Mm.
you know and so anyway, I was always losing the fucking pens, mate. Always losing the pens. And then my grandfather would be like, you lost your pens? Okay, don't listen again, I'm gonna buy you another pen. And they were usually uh, big pens, the plastic ones in.
That's big. Yes.
Yeah, but back in the days, like now, they're just pieces of shit. I mean, the ink spreads everywhere. But back then, even though they were plastic, like solid black,
Hmm.
solid blue, or solid red, or the see-through one that
Yes.
was like almost like octagonal, like an
Yes.
octagon.
Yes. With that funny shape. Yes, I remember that.
Yeah. And anyway, so my grandfather got tired of buying me pens. And then he told me, like, if you lose your pens again next time, you're gonna get in trouble. And my grandfather was lovely, because I spent most of my time with him,
Okay.
away from my parents. And so that was the only time he didn't really put hands on me, but he hit me with the belt a few times on the bum.
Or Delta.
Yeah. But anyway, so I came home and he was like, so where are your pants? And I'm like, I don't have them. So that's enough. And then so I take off running, poof, down the hallway. And my grandfather's running up, and then my grandmother and the maid, and they all come after me to get me, right? And so I'm running down the hallway, and I outran them, and I ran under my grandmother's bed. Okay.
Mm.
and it was a huge bed, and they're all looking, hey, did you see him? Where's he at? Blah 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 blah. And then finally,
They found was
like 10 minutes later, dude, my grandmother and the maid look, he's under here, Marita, he's under there. They're freaking go in there, and they grab me by my legs. I'm just
uh,
like a scary movie.
your heart must have been going.
It was like a scare, like a horror film, and I
Trust
couldn't hold on to the floor, just sliding and man. And but
me.
yeah, that was it, man. And
They should have
and
bought you. They should have bought you that pen here with all the multicolors where you can just press the thing down.
yeah, that came out later. That came out like in the early 80s.
Okay, yeah, that's true. That would have
And
been
I
more.
remember when, yeah, they sell those right now, and they're like pieces of shit. But when that thing first came out, it
They
was
were,
like the invention of the light bulb.
mate. They were like the Rolls Royce of pens. If you had one of them, yeah, you're getting all the girls. You know,
You were badass. That's right. I remember looking at us. Damn, that kid rock. Opened up his pencil case, and he busted out with that shit, dude. I was like,
everyone's like, "Whoa! Oh my god!" The whole class surrounds him. Where did you get that from? Your
yeah,
parents?
that was like, yeah, that was like the iPad and shit, dude.
Yeah, imagine that.
That
Imagine that.
little-
Get our attention back then. Right now, to get these kids' attentions, you have to get computers, cars. You have to let them drive at the age of 5. You have to, mate, things are getting crazy now, you know? Back then, we used to have pleasures in little things. Imagine a pen like that could get all the kids all excited. You can't do that now.
Well, it's recently that's been coming up on Facebook. Like, kids used to get excited about that. We used to go out, like they used to have to track us to get in the house.
Mhm.
Whereas in now, we have to throw the kids out the window just so that they can go play outside.
I'm telling you, my son doesn't want to go out, man. He just wants to be on the computer or on his phone, on the PlayStation, all day, every single day.
Yeah, and I remember when that first came in, I was a teenager. I had returned to the United States from Colombia, and this was back in 1986. This was after the Atari. Remember Atari? That frick, with one joystick like that shit was badass though, bro.
One button on it.
Yeah, one button.
Had
So
one button.
simple, but with Space Invaders, dude. Or Asteroid.
Hey, that was crazy, that game.
Remember Asteroid? It's just the shape of a rock floating in space and a little triangle, and you press the button and it
And
would
you
just move forward with a thruster.
bullet.
Yeah. And then to make it wouldn't even move like that. You turn the other button or the joystick, and then it would just rotate like this.
Yes.
But there were great games. But I remember after the Atari back, what came in, what's really, really got kids to start staying inside was when Nintendo came out, like around 85, 86. The first Nintendo that would open up like this and shit, and you put in the cassette and then push it down, and if it didn't work, you have to blow on it.
The Super Nintendo, the normal one before the Super Nintendo came out.
Yeah. And I remember my cousins getting into those games, and like I would play with them for like maybe like 30 minutes, but they would stay indoors all day just trying to solve, like, to rescue the queen. Where I was just like, fuck that. I would go outside and fix my bicycle. Like I had a BMX bicycle, and I would take off like around 10 in the morning, and come back for lunches to eat quickly. And then after that, I wouldn't come home till 8 o'clock in the evening, dude. And it was simple pleasures like you're talking about. What your teenage years were where?
Mostly here in England. Did I spend any in Nigeria? No. I spent my teenage years here. Yeah, all of them.
So
Here.
are the kids the same over there now in Nigeria, where they just want to stay inside playing video games, or do they still want to go outside and play?
They still want to go outside and play because the environment kind of allows for that, but they've all got iPads now. Because last time I went there, I've seen a lot. Obviously, the underprivileged kids, which is a lot of them, they're still outside. on the hustle. They ain't got no iPad. They probably got no TV at home. They probably have to get up in the morning and sell bread for their mum. Do you know what I mean? So those kids are still out and about. They're very active. That will always be there. It's a third world country, so you're always going to have the underprivileged that have no phones, no iPads, so they've got nothing but to go outside. But then a lot of the people that are normal middle class or upper class, their kids have got phones, iPads, cable TV, living in mansions. So it's the Western world is influencing over there as well to a certain degree. And you can see it when you go there. And you got a lot of kids now that are all homebound. They're not as strong. You can tell when a kid has been on the roads. He looks like a rock.
Yeah. The skin's like leather and shit. They're tough kids, dude.
You see these new kids in Africa with tender skin. They're talking English like they've been in England. It's like, wow, what is going on?
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, yeah, we had our stuff that wasn't great. Every generation has something good and something bad. But I think that these generations now are losing the ability to just experience life in for in reality, and everybody is just like I said, they're more like house pets, dude.
Yeah. It's a shame, but yeah.
It is a shame, and I'm really glad that I had the privilege to grow at the end of that generation, the last generation to really go. I mean, because we were kind of like, we were stray kids, dude. We were like stray dogs, pretty much.
Yeah, your parents set you up.
Yeah, we were feral dogs, like feral animals.
Yeah.
And like nowadays, if it rains, like a child will be like, oh, it's raining, what do I do? And so we rush to take him to school and shit like that. Well, back in the days when it rained, we still went to school. And if we didn't have a freaking umbrella, what we did is we used to get a trash can. In the States, they're called hefty bags. They're really strong ass freaking plastic bags and huge, like 20 gallons or some shit like that, dude. Wow. Yeah, do you know what I mean? And then my mom or our parents taught us how to cut. This was like the ghetto, the poor man's raincoat and shit, dude. You just cut the bottom of it like a neck, and then on the sides where you can stick your arms, and that bag came all the way down to your ankles, dude. And you went to school like that, dude.
Wow. Don't you remember? I used to remember going to school in Nigeria, walking through puddles, walking through. There's no way to even avoid the puddle. You have to walk into it. By the time you get to model over your trousers, do you remember wearing those slippers?
Which slippers?
The normal slippers with the wide front and it's all open.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. What about it?
Between your big toe and the second one.
Yeah. What about it?
Beach slippers.
The beach slipper? Are you talking about the thongs?
Yes. The thongs, yes.
I hate those things. I didn't like wearing those things.
Don't you remember when it used to be muddy on the floor and you walk with them and all the mud starts flicking to the back?
They would slap on your hair, clack.
Yeah. All over you. By the time you get on your arms, your legs, your head.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't really like wearing those things. But I remember those slippers, and I remember they used to slap at the bottom of your heel and shit. That's why I don't wear those slippers.
That foam thing comes out, man, you're in trouble.
Yeah, well, that thing came off all the time. That's why I didn't like him. I must have been a retard, like I didn't know how to walk with him or something. Because all my friends would have like these thongs, and like white people, my white friends in California, they were experts at owning those thongs. And then like native people in Colombia, like mixed between Spanish blood and native blood, and they would just wear those thongs like until they look like freaking wafers, dude. They would wear them out until they were so thin, and the thong was still in there, dude. I could never wear those right. Like I would wear them and those motherfuckers would spin around or just they were all over the place, dude. And the thong part would always pop out.
Yeah. Those things were nightmares.
Yeah, I was like, nah, fuck that, dude. I'm wearing shoes, but yeah, we weren't afraid of going out in the rain, getting wet. Like kids love to go out in the rain back in the days.
Mm-hmm.
And our grandparents would want us to our parents would get inside the rain. And even to this day, talking about the rain, what is up with this bullshit voodoo that they tell you, be careful, it's raining, you're gonna catch a cold.
What?
Cold water or cold air has nothing to do with you catching a cold. It doesn't cause viral infections, the cold itself. You know what it is? What in actuality, what it is that viruses live a little bit better in cold weather for some reason. So
Yes.
the cold, if you don't have a strong body or you're tired or whatever, or your immunity is down, the cold requires you to use more energy to heat up your body,
Mm-hmm.
so that if you're not right, it actually lowers your immunity a little bit. It taxes your body is what it is. And so it's easier for a virus to come in, you
Yes.
know. But if you're used to the cold, that people have this idea about cold weather or cold water equals cold,
No, it does.
catching a cold.
It's about your own internal environment, your internal core temperature. If you cannot keep up with the external, then you're gonna be in trouble.
Yes, yes. Because I mean, I still take right over here. It's about well, it's not too cold today. It's 71 Fahrenheit.
Mm.
It's normally gets colder. Like a few days ago, it was like about 30,
Yeah, it's getting cold here as well.
and here it gets below zero. But
Mm.
I still take a cold shower, mate.
I haven't
And
done.
when it's
I need to do that. I've not done the Wim Hof method for a while. That's really naughty of me still.
yeah, I'm still on that. But your grandmother told you that. How about tell me one of old wives' old, what we call them, old wives' tale, like some African voodoo that your grandmother or your mom used to tell me. Oh, don't do this, or if you do this, this is gonna happen, and you're like, what the fuck, dude? Okay, I won't do that. One of those things like eating seeds.
Eating a chicken's bum, eating the chicken's bum,
Uh
you're
huh.
gonna become a snitch. You become a talkative. You start grassing up people.
Really? I
Yeah, that's
never heard of that one, bro.
off the bum, the ass of the chicken. And we sort of say, well, we can't eat that. They're like, no, if you eat that, you become ofofo. That's what they call it in my country, ofofo. And ofofo, that's a talkative person. And that person is a
Uh-huh.
snitch. So you're going to be the one. Yeah, it was K that did it. No, it was Gio that did that. You become,
Oh, okay. So he must have eaten chicken asses.
yeah,
The-
basically,
the-
yeah,
the-
right, that we say that they've eaten chicken ass.
well, actually, that's not the ass, that's the tail.
Yeah, we just chopped that bit off. It's like,
I love that part, dude. That's called the Parson's nose. What you do have to take off, though, is it looks like a spade from the spades, the ace of spades, right? From this,
yes,
the suit. Looks like
yeah,
a little spade. And on top of the spade, there's like a little gland. And from that comes a lubrication for the feathers. So when I usually kill a chicken and I pluck it and all that, I don't remove the tail because I like to grill that. But what I do remove is that gland because you don't want to eat that juice from there. That shit is nasty, dude.
okay.
Oh, did they ever tell you not to eat the seeds? Because if you ate the seeds of a fruit, you would get like a fucking tree growing in your stomach.
Yeah, we used to get told things like that. Oh my God, all the things they used to say to scare us.
Some
Well,
fucking bullshit, dude.
what else things can I remember? Oh, it's been a long time. But I know we used to
Oh,
have superstitions, and grandma used to tell us don't do that. And
mm,
my grandma used to brush her teeth with charcoal.
for what?
My grandma would use charcoal to brush her
Why?
teeth. Gio, yeah. When my
Uh,
grandma died, she was about 80 years old.
Uh,
never seen a woman that age, yeah, with whiter teeth, man. She'd never
yeah,
been to,
Chark.
my grandma never been to the dentist. She could bite anything. Her teeth, yeah, there was no cavities, there was not a single plaque.
Look,
Her teeth were bright white.
uh,
Yeah, mine are not. Mine are a bit yellowish.
I have no cavities, bro. I'm 50. Never had one.
But she always used a chewing stick. You
Hmm.
know, like a chewing stick, they used like a piece of wood, but it's used for brushing the teeth, or a piece of charcoal.
Yeah.
For some reason, but she liked to like scrub the tooth, and the charcoal will make all your mouth black. Charcoal and salt. You put a bit of
Yeah.
salt and charcoal and grind all the teeth with it. And my grandma would do stuff like that, and her teeth would just come out white.
Oh, dude, I'm gonna try that. And if my teeth stay
Right?
black, I'm flying out to England, bro.
No, trust me, teeth ever, man.
Yeah, back in the days, they knew stuff. Yeah, they came up with the old wives' tale, like, don't eat seeds and stuff like that, just to scare us. But they also came up like how, our grandparents were really ingenious in a way, not geniuses, but ingenious. They would make things, whereas now people won't use their head to make things. My grandfather always carried a little pocket knife, a Swiss Army knife, and that thing was amazing. Like I do myself. I always carry this, and people think it's like, oh, be careful with that. You're gonna stab. What are you gonna stab somebody? It's like, no, that's the last thing I'm thinking about is stabbing somebody. This
Mm.
is a tool. So I use it for cutting fruits. Most people also have lost the skill to peel a pear or an apple with a knife and cut it and have the confidence to carry one of these things without chopping their fingers. So,
Mm.
Q-tips, right? Which is actually a brand name for what do they call them? We got so used the cotton swabs
Oh yeah.
for your ears.
Yeah.
Well, my grandfather would go to a fern plant outside, and when the ferns were drying up, the the stem that held the leaves together in the center would turn kind of hard, and then he would just get he would get a piece like that, and then he would get his little Swiss Army knife and just get it in the right shape,
Mm-hmm.
and then he would get a piece of cotton, a cotton ball, and get it to the right side, and then size, fit it on there, and
And then
clean his ears.
yeah.
Yeah, and nowadays it's like if you can't buy it, people don't know how to make it, dude.
And people are very wasteful now, because one thing I remembered back then, yeah, was wastes was a big issue. Anything, any kind of waste, the elders were onto your case. You know what I mean? They can't serve you a plate of food and then there's half of the meal still there. They're like, mate, there's poor people out here. They've not eaten. Why did you? Because they will ask you, can you finish that? And you'll be like, yeah. And then you don't finish it, you'll be in trouble. If
Oh, hell yeah.
you're peeling the fruits and you're peeling them a bit too deep, you're
Oh
gonna
yeah. Oh, my dad would talk some serious shit. You're cutting half of the fruit.
yeah, back then they were not into wasting. They were not into wastages.
No, no. And if you gave some lip, like you got smart,
You get the
you
clip.
didn't.
From lip, you
Oh,
get the
you got lit up, dude. Somebody either got lit up or somebody was telling you something. And I think sometimes that in those days they did go a bit too far,
mm-hmm.
but some of that I think is still necessary, mate. And I'm not talking about going too far, but nowadays it's like you got to treat your kids like they're freaking melted butter, dude.
Yeah, and that is horrible for them being disciplined and regimented, because that hard boot camp kind of upbringing we had allowed us to be regimental in our mentality. So you could wake up and think, okay, I have to exercise for an hour. I can only do this for 2 hours. You got to do this. You get into that kind of routine because it was embedded into you. But these
Yeah.
kids, it's hard for them to be regimental and disciplined. They're
Well,
too.
they raise him on bubble wrap, mate.
Yeah.
No, and not just regimented, but it made you a little bit tougher. It made your skin. And some of our parents or whatever, yeah, they were not only physically abusive, but
mentally.
psychologically abused, and some of that had to end. But I think that generation that was in a sense brutalized took it too far, and
Mm,
then just fucking sugar coated their kids, and then those sugar coated kids freaking raised caramelized kids.
yeah,
And I think, yeah, this generation, although they have all the technological advancements and stuff like that, I think yeah, they do lack, and I feel bad for them, and I know I've said this, is the real life experience, a tangible experience.
like they lack the substance.
Yes, 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 yes.
Substance. They're
Well,
more empty.
yeah, and when they actually get faced, that when they actually face like a challenge in their lives, they just want to off themselves, because
Mm,
they thought they were going to get what they wanted, because we always gave them what they wanted, or their peers and stuff like that. And so when they realize that life can punch you in the face, they're like, oh well, we weren't told that,
yeah,
because they were overprotected. And hopefully this will change, and we're seeing that a lot in the Western countries, or very developed nations. And I mean, you look at the United States now, and England, and people fighting over retarded shit,
yeah, yeah,
fighting each other, disagreeing with each other, because they actually are not really facing any true uh challenges in life.
yeah,
So human beings like to solve problems. So if they don't have a problem, they'll create a problem just to
yeah,
solve it.
yes. But if we was living in our normal element, there will be lots of
Mm.
problems to tackle in the normal world. But because you put yourself, like you say, in a bubble wrap, so now
Mm.
you're safe from those problems. So now you're creating delusions. You're creating
Yeah.
drama.
Yes. Delusions. I love it. That's what it is. Creating fucking delusions, dude.
Yeah.
Hey, going back to, 'cause I miss some of those old experiences, and then you and I, we kind of have them similar, even though I'm older than you,
Mhm.
because of where you were raised. It's still, the place where you were raised still holds
Those
some of
values.
that, yeah, those values, or that structure in society.
Yep.
you know like you're talking about not wasting. And remember, like back in the days, like if you use too many lights, or like if,
Oh
like
my,
when you took a shower, because water was,
there for half an hour, mate. You're getting
ah,
you're
dude, you're gonna get lit up, dude. They're gonna come in the shower with a belt and blah 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 blah.
that big warfare. My dad, what? How long have you been there? And you're just there, just smoking, just enjoying yourself, and you know that
well
big waste. It's like, do you
well
know what effort we have to go through to get that water? Do you know? And you're just there pouring it all on your body, but you get it back then. But as you get older, you start to realize, oh, it was hard. It was not as
yeah.
easy.
No, no. And here's the thing though. In Colombia, when I was living there, we didn't have water heaters, mate. So the kids, they would boil the water for them, and then mix it with some cold water, and then they would use they use like a big ass pot, and
Yes,
usually like the parking area, which was inside the house, had a drain area, and that's where you took a shower and shit. The kids, because the water was cold. And so the adults went and did it that way. And once we graduated to that era, or that place, you went in, you turn on the water, and then turn it off right away. You got wet. That's it. Then you put on the soap, and I mean, they were out of that shower in like 3 or 4 minutes, dude.
yeah. Yep. Those were the kids that were lit up from young, and they knew not to mess around.
They knew. And I remember when my auntie and my uncle, they were a bit wealthy, and still are. They were privileged like that. And so when access to heated water started coming in, you would have to buy a heater, an electric heater, and they would only hold a certain amount of gallons of
Mm,
heated water. Once you used it all, it was gone. So we can stay there. So my cousins were kind of like really like spoiled. They would use all the hot water. That I remember the fights. You used all the hot water.
They're thinking if I ever tried that, man, I ain't getting dinner tonight.
Right? Exactly. Well, when I moved back to the States, we have natural gas. So everything is heated in the water. But still, my parents in those days, because they had to work hard, if we would use too much light or too much water, like we'd forget to turn on the lights or whatever. I remember my father's favorite phrase was, "What do you think? I'm married to water and power? Turn that fucking light on." What do you think? My boyfriend is Edison? Because the light bulbs said Edison on them. And those.
They used to have fits over things like that, leaving the light bulb on. You got the lights on in the kitchen, the front room, the bedroom. My mom will go crazy.
Yeah, but think about it now. What we're going through now with our so-called energy crisis,
Yeah.
and
Imagine.
people are still just leaving shit on everywhere. And I say this as we speak now on a computer, and this is what I this is the lamp that I use, a very small lamp with the light bulb is like this, and it's an incandescent light bulb.
Yes.
And if not, if I'm in my room by myself, I use these
Ooh.
candles. Yeah, it's already done. And that's something else that we would have, because we would have like power shortages,
Yes.
you
Yeah.
know?
Candles, the lanterns, the kerosene lanterns.
Yeah. I have one of those too, mate.
Yeah. There was a lot. We nearly
I
said
have.
one time, me and my brothers, and luckily, our parents were just coming back in. Young was doing the martial arts, kicking each other. There was no energy, and my dad put me in charge of, if there's no lights, put on the lantern, Kay, because you're the oldest. So I've put the lantern, lit it, and then me and my brothers were there kicking each other, giving each other elbows, and one of my brothers kicked the lantern, and all the kerosene poured on the table and just lit up. So the table in our front room just went on fire. And just as that happened, our parents just came back in.
You fucking lucky, bro, because you could have caught the house on fire.
I don't know what would have happened if they were like not coming back for another hour. But they came in right at that moment and they stopped the fire, man. We got beaten up like.
Yeah, of course. Them butt cheeks are getting roasted, dude. Fucking well done, dude.
No, but we got battered that time.
Well, I remember being in college, you're talking about a fire and stuff, and kids are just curious. We do fucking retarded shit. And I remember my dad's Jeep was being repaired by a mechanic, and so we rented this house in the little village where we lived at, and this house was next to the market that my dad owned. So he was at work, or not at work. He had gone somewhere to go pick up some food to stock up the market and stuff like that. And the mechanic had gone too. And he had left this bucket with gasoline and oil or something next to the fucking truck. I mean, to the Jeep. And I'd come out and I looked at it, and I don't know what possessed me to take out a fucking box of matches. Because it looked, like oil looked really thick, right?
Yeah.
And I wanted to see I wanted to hear that sound and see, like, as a match dropped in, for it to go, it just turned off in like the gooey oil. Well, guess what? It wasn't oil, mate. It was black gasoline, dude. Because the gasoline was being used to clean the parts.
Oh, God.
And I thought it was oil, mate.
That would have been a serious fire.
Well, it was. As I dropped that fucking match, mate. Oh, bro. As I dropped that match, that thing went. And I was like, oh, shit, dude. And we had a really old house that the walls were made of hay inside, and so was the up. Oh man, and that fire first went under the freaking tank of gasoline of the Jeep.
Oh God.
and I was fucking tripping. So what I did is I went in the house and got a bucket full of water.
Oh my God, that's the worst thing.
Yeah,
That,
well, I didn't know that you couldn't turn off gasoline with water, dude.
that's just gonna get bigger.
And so when I threw the bucket of water, the flames went right under the fucking roof. It went,
Oh,
and I was like, "Oh fuck, that's not enough water." So
oh, serious.
I went back and got another bucket of water, and that fucking fire just went in different direction like that
Oh,
and went under the car. And these blokes were walking down the street and saw it, and they came over and fucking pushed the Jeep off the blocks, and it
oh,
fell. And the Jeeps didn't have any tires,
oh
so
my.
it just fucking and cracked the axle. Oh
Oh
my god, dude!
man,
And they
you.
finally what? Yeah, dude. And finally, the guys, what they did is they threw some sand on it and turned it off, so the house didn't catch on fire.
Blanket.
And well, I remember I was like, dude, I have to make up a lie, because if I say the truth, dude, my dad is going to freaking light me up to the fucking moon, dude.
You could have killed
Uh,
yourself.
yeah, I was already scared of my dad, because I told you before, those were the days.
Uh-huh.
And so I made this story up that I was in the bathroom taking a shit. I was taking a dump, and I'd come out and there were these hooligans, and they threw a match and then ran away, and the shit caught on fire. So I was like, okay, this shit is solid. These guys believed it. And so, but my
You
dad, what?
believe that. He's going, no, that was my son.
Yeah, yeah,
That fire, it was my son.
yeah. Yeah, dude. And so when they came over, I was like, can you tell my dad what happened? And so they told him. And he was like, he was looking at me from the distance, dude. And
Yes.
he was giving me the eyes like, I don't believe that shit, dude. That
Uh,
was your stupid ass, and you probably wanted to see what it looked like.
exactly. My dad was like that as
Oh,
well. Like, nah, man, I know who did that. It's K.
yeah, and I got lit up, but he didn't light me up too bad on that one. He didn't punch me or anything like that. He gave me a few floggings with the belt, but with my jeans on or whatever. But
Mm.
for a situation like that,
Yeah,
I
because that
needed that
probably
was
thought he probably happy that you didn't kill yourself.
yeah, that was a well-deserved ass
Mm.
kicking. And that's what I'm saying, going back to that, and you bring it as a metaphor. Life kicks your ass, man. And if you hadn't had a little training before you get to live,
Mm.
life will do you in, mate.
It will. It will. That's
Life
guaranteed.
will do you in.
Life is sweet, but it's also bitter. It's also sour. It's also
Mm.
salty. It's got all the flavors.
Yep.
So you can't dwell on just the sweetness. You can't dwell on just the bananas and the apples and the cherries. You know, we've got to go for the salt fish. We've got to go for the ocean creatures. We've got to go for the bitter herbs. We've got to go for
Yes.
the sour, the tangy, because that's the
Yes.
only way you have a complete palate.
Yes. Well, and how you say that you can't just dwell only on think about only on the sweetness. Now, if all you've had is bitterness, you can't just focus on the bitterness, because then you will also sabotage your life
Yes,
when something sweet comes in your presence.
you want to accept it.
You won't accept it because you feel you don't know what it is, and you've become so accustomed to that bitterness that you
Yes,
will throw away something beautiful and sweet just to dwell
on
and
what you.
and swim and drown in sorrow, mate.
Yes, that's really true. That's really true.
And I had to I lived my life like that for years. um and I had to also, it can't be in balance, mate. You have to have a little bit of everything.
The whole palates, the whole palate.
Yes.
All your tongue should be able to taste every one of them and separate them.
Mm,
The
exactly.
tongue of your spirit should be able to decipher every flavor and be accustomed to every one of them. Be able to adapt to every one. You shouldn't taste one flavor of life and be like, oh, I don't like that. I only like this part of life. Because if you're here in life, you're here for the whole run. You're here for the whole package. You're not here to isolate and say, God, okay, God, I know you created a big wide planet, but I'm only going to go to your sweet side. Because if you do that, the bitter side will always face you. You cannot escape. You cannot escape the pot that we're in. You know, if you're in a pot and they put salt in there, they put sugar in there, they put all kinds of seasonings in there, and you're a tomato in that pot, you can't only absorb the salt. You're going to absorb every flavor that's in that pot.
Yes.
We're in a pot full of flavors, so you cannot say that I'm only going to absorb this flavor, because the other flavors, they're soaking into your skin and you're not dealing with it because you're not even acknowledging that they're on your skin.
Exactly. So with that, it was a lovely conversation, man. I liked it. It's kind of nice that you and I have shared similar experiences in life, and hopefully we can get to continue something like this in the future. But with all that said, leave us with your lovely insights as always, so that we can experience that light, brother. Go ahead.
So, like they say, there's nothing new under the sun. Everything has happened before, is happening again, and it will happen in the future. So today we've been focusing on the old ways. Let's not forget the old ways that our elders, our ancestors used, because those were the ways that created the path for us to be here now. I know we've got all the new technologies, we've got all the fancies and the life conveniences, but we've got to remember the path of those that came before us and the lessons that they taught us through generations of how to survive and how to be an earthling, how to interact with our environment. Let's not lose these old ways, and let's also try and find a way to teach that to the young generation and let it not just be that, I remember in my days, we used to be tough and that, but the kids these days, they're just soft because now we're neglecting them. We're not passing down the same thing that was passed down to us. It's also now the baton is in our hands, and it's now our time to pass the baton on to the younger generation. So that responsibility is in our hands. So if the kids haven't got the knowledge now, it's because us as parents have not passed it down to them. So the future generation, us as parents, us as elders, us as people that they will look up to, we have a big part to play in what these youngsters are going to absorb in life. So let's just not leave them and say, let's not leave them to the computers, and let's not leave them just to the internet. Let's also make time for them, just like our elders made time for us. And I know they might have done it in funny ways. They might have done it in brutal ways. Maybe we can come with a better way of doing it. Maybe we can come and impart it to them in a way that it will be positive, they will not be traumatized, and they will get the message. Because the youth are the future of this world.
Yep, beautiful, man. And like always, don't forget to go out there, reach out and touch someone, grab a hand, give a hug. And through all our experiences in life, we come together and we create that heat that eventually brings a light to bear upon the world. Amen. Peace out and keep it jungly.
Amen.
All right. Love you, brother love. Let me know when you got it going so we can put this one up. This one was sweet, like always.
Lovely. It was lovely.
Okay. All right. Cheers, matey.